Hi again, I'm Laureen Knutson, Chief Transformation Officer for the Enterprise Software Division here at Broadcom. And I get to work with some amazing customers every day on their transformation journeys. But one of the most inspiring stories I've heard recently is from Chipotle Mexican Grill, who with more than 2,000 locations across North America and Europe, had to completely change their business model when COVID-19 hit. So today I have the good fortune of being joined by Ricky Heilemann and Mason Ingalls to the show today. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for having us.
Hey, great to have you guys here. So in your organization, when I talked to you last, you talked about how you'd moved to a complete flow-based system, right? And you had streams of work flowing through your entire organization in order to change how you did business with your customers last year. So can you guys kind of talk us through some of how you were able to accomplish that amazing feat?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's crazy because really it all kind of started as a forced function, right? The pandemic hit, the way that we reached our customers changed, and we really had to be nimble in the way that we went about kind of changing what we had planned going into 2020. Really, to be honest, we had started kind of already going down the path of finding new ways to reach our customers. So we were lucky in that we were already growing our digital business in a place where we were trying to expand it out. We just did not ever realize how much that digital business really would need to grow in over 3 to 4 months in order to be able to handle the new load that we had. So what we were able to do is really just kind of be nimble from bringing together all the different teams that we had, find a way to say, what are the things that we need to do in this new business model? We need to be able to reach our customers in different ways. We need to be able to work differently with our restaurant crew, and we needed to be able to operate differently internally as Chipotle as well, from what we call our RSCs. So from there, we really started to find the things that we already had in flight that we could start to make small adjustments to. So that's working with our product team to say, what do we have in flight? Working with our digital marketing team, with our brand marketing team. What are the things that we're working on today that we can start to either tweak or add things to? I'll give you one quick example. So we were already in the midst of working with a new third-party delivery company. So our third-party delivery is with DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates, companies like that. We were actually in the midst of onboarding Uber Eats at the time. And we had a plan, so this was in March, we had a plan to have them fully up and running by the May, June timeframe. Well, in order for us to really be able to handle the new business, we had to crash that schedule pretty significantly. And we decided that we were going to move resources from other functions that we had. So we had some catering folks that business was going to be changing. And we had some other things that were more in the digital group type order thing that we moved some of those people around, some of that time, and put it towards that third-party delivery. And we were able to crash that schedule and go from months to actually getting that down in weeks and getting that up and running. So it was examples like that where we really kind of utilized where we had other strategies going on and saying, hey, sorry, these resources, this isn't a value add for what we have going on right now. Brought those resources in, brought those planners in, brought operations in, and we're able to do some of these cool things to be able to achieve that.
Yeah, part of what I would add to that too is that we sit within the enterprise program management office within Chipotle, and as we've been on a journey in terms of us maturing into what really is an enterprise program management office. Like Ricky mentioned, it being a force function, COVID really accelerated us right into that position of looking at the enterprise holistically, and really what that helped us do and helped the organization do is gain that alignment across sponsors. And that's been one of the key aspects that we've been able to accomplish is not only is the work, just aligning everybody around the work to pivot, but elevating our function in order to really make those things happen has been something that we've seen come out of COVID.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Mason. I would say that, we had been lucky. Another thing, we got lucky on the timing of moving from an IT PMO to an enterprise PMO. We had really just kind of started that journey the spring of 2019. And it was at that time when we went through like our annual planning and we were really looking to see what our strategic alignment was for the fiscal year, that we really did a broad, like, planning process throughout all the enterprise to understand all the different things that were going on and what business goals they had for 2020 that were going to drive the way technology was there to assist them. So when we did that planning for 2020, it really helped enable us to understand the things that they had going on, what they wanted to work on, being able to strategically roadmap that out throughout the year. So when this happened, we were able to go and see what everyone had planned out for that year and say, okay, well, that doesn't make sense anymore. Let's move some things around. Well, that needs to go faster. Let's figure that out. So we were actually, luckily, very much in a good place to be able to have some of those conversations and do it rather quickly. And also virtually, which was, a very interesting way to go about doing, hey, you want to change your plan overnight? Well, let's do it all from home for the first time, like for many of us ever.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm hearing that talked about more as sort of an integrated IT, right? As you bring your IT department into the EPMO out of IT and into the entire business as your digitization, you realize it needs to go across the entire organization. So many companies really struggle to align that strategy and execution within their business. And even some really impressive companies that are doing impressive things in like DevOps can't seem to bring those silos together. So how did you guys pull together from, and I sometimes development teams struggle with the same urgency that we seem to feel on the business side sometimes, right? Of really, we need to have this done in order to stay afloat or keep going or, keep our revenues going. So how did you guys tie that together and really bring your teams so that your work could flow all the way through that quickly? Even when, almost especially when they're starting, the fact that you're having to stop people and put them over in a different project and start them again and things like that. How did you kind of make that happen internally?
Well, I would say that in like most things, it starts top down, right? So the fact that our leadership was so at the forefront of communicating what our priorities were going to be is always really helpful, right? So we knew the things that we wanted to be working on. We had alignment from the top down on the things that we needed to be shifting towards. And that is always like a fantastic start, is to have that leadership guide you in that way. For that to kind of trickle down, I would say the things that we did is really we brought in all the teams to be a part of this, right? So if you are going to have like a value stream, if you are going to have a strategic line of your business, you need to have all parts be at the table together. So I would say when it was our business or our marketing team working with our product team, working with our scrum masters, working with our planners, working with everyone together to really be there to understand what needed to get done, to plan that out, to understand the timing, to understand impacts across our portfolio. It really took all those people being at the table in order to be successful.
And I'd add that, part of what we enabled as well is bringing all that information into one place and then making it visible and transparent. So having everybody at the party, but then also making sure that everyone has the information that they need in order to make better decisions to drive, a better experience for customers and for our internal stakeholders as well, is something that we definitely enabled for the organization.
Absolutely. So what are the benefits? Are you still finding benefits from those changes that you made today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like as Mason said, what this really did for us was made it so that we had to plan more transparently, right? So we had the opportunity to have what we like to call a connected portfolio, right? Where we were able to use the tools at our disposal. So we use, we use Clarity, we use Rally, we use all the different types of tools in order to our planning. And we were actually able to really kind of connect those tools in order for us to be able to do full lifecycle planning. And that is from ideation. So when the business or when leadership comes in and says, I have something I want to get done, we start tracking that in Clarity through the ideas portal. It's all the information gathered, understanding the teams, knowing what needs to be done to get that done. And we take that all the way through utilizing our tool set. And that really kind of brings all the different players together, lets them understand where things are, what needs to be worked on. And that takes us through the entire life cycle through delivery. And it really has allowed us to bring the people who need to be involved in delivery of these types of things and brings them all together to succeed at one thing. And I think that, again, lots of work was done to kind of get there. And now we've been able to kind of reap the benefits going into 2021 as things have been shifting. We've been able to still be able to kind of be nimble and take the learnings that we had and bring them forward.
I think one other aspect of it that we've seen from, how is this I'd say increased visibility, more folks in the tool kind of played out, is that we're actually having, I'm calling it organic growth, in terms of teams that are not yet in Rally, they're not yet utilizing Clarity, coming to us and asking for how can we utilize these tools to better organize how we work. And I think that's like, it's very easy to push the tool down to someone and say, start using it and do the iron fist of change management, if you will. But when you have folks coming to you and asking you, say, like, I really like how it's working in the app dev space. We would like to apply a similar model. What is it going to take for us to put our information into the tool and start managing it the same way and yielding the same benefits?
Are you guys finding that you're able to make better data-driven decisions as well? One of the things that I used to find when I was on development teams was that question of, are you done or done? Right. And I found that when I went to agility and started really using data to manage my business, right, I no longer had to ask that question ever. And that was one of the best benefits, right? I could tell people if you actually use the products, you never have to fill out a status report, right? So are you finding similar things like that are making your lives easier as well as your teams and being able to truly know the status of what's going on in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Data has been very much key in understanding not only the definition of done, like you said, but also what are the next things that we need to be working on, right? So many times it's data driven, the things that we want to be working on next. One of the big things that we saw, going back to the example of third-party delivery, when we launched more third-party delivery and we started using all the different partners out there, we were able to start utilizing data to see some things downstream that we really needed to work on. Most notably, it's been pretty well put out there that third-party delivery is not as good for your margins as as having somebody come into the restaurant and just order from the restaurant. So really using the data that was coming out from that shift and that change showed us some of the things that we needed to do internally in order to be able to kind of make margins a little bit better from our perspective. So those type of things where we're able to go see, data to say, hey, what we just implemented works, also drove, hey, it works, but guess what? There's some things downstream that we also need to work on. And it really kind of helped build our roadmap for us.
That's fantastic. When you're doing this, I imagine if I think about your business model, right, where you used to have person-to-person ordering, and now everything was going through on demand or online. How do you handle the loads, right? Did you have to do anything special in this flow to really think about, your volume specifically? I imagine just exponentially boomed in very quickly, right? So was that?
Yeah.
How did you make sure that you planned for that in your strategies? Because oftentimes that work is missed at a strategic level and it's not understood, right, as it flows through the teams. The lower teams are the ones trying to, the end result of getting it out the door, the ones trying to figure that out.
Absolutely. That's definitely something we had to think about. And I can take 0% credit for the work that was really done there. But when you think about it, there's a couple different things, right? So the volume of the people coming to our site, coming to our app, everything from that perspective, we had already been working on getting, more capacity from that standpoint. And what we really tried to do is say, on our largest days, so on some of our big events and stuff like that, what is the capacity that we have, right? So how many people go in on National Burrito Day and use the app or use online to go buy a burrito? Well, that is the standard that we really wanted to work towards when it was day-to-day people coming to our app. And again, very smart people thinking that through. I just wanted to help go plan that where possible. Mason and I being involved to go plan that, but people had already been thinking about that. Same thing comes in from like how, we've gone and, making sure that when people are going online, that our restaurants are not being impacted by that, right? So it's a totally different way to have everything be coming online than having people come in the store. Another thing that very brilliant people thought through, and we actually have a second make line that we use. All digital orders come into that second make line versus the front line. And we were able to really kind of be able to shield our staff as well, our other customers from being, really under the gun during a very difficult time as well. So those types of things that were being planned out, we got to just kind of, again, find a way to improve them a little bit faster, get them to what we wanted, and probably faster time than had been planned, but they were definitely still things that we wanted to do in order to make sure that we were ready to handle this new business.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, there are a lot of smart people that are working on how to move to the cloud, right? To be able to scale when something like a pandemic happens and you're suddenly in a situation where you're transacting beyond a regular promotion day, just as a Tuesday. So, now we're at, some crazy number of transactions per day from a digital perspective that would have been unheard of a few years ago. And like Ricky mentioned, that the forced function of, just simply having more of our business shift to digital has been something that, we've helped others really enable, because that's really our function. Is we're not the ones fingers of the keyboard doing it, but we're helping them get that work done so that we're having a great experience for our customers.
Yeah, I'd never thought of inside your restaurants, you had to completely redo that model as well so that you could handle all these orders, because I'm assuming kind of every day is National Burrito Day right now. So, you guys get an amazing amount of online orders and in-person orders. So as things open back up, trying to balance that, you're again going through almost another transformation as you're allowed to have more and more people in the restaurants. So yeah, that's fascinating times for all of the businesses. Are there any other benefits you're seeing as you've rolled? I mean, you guys have done a really good job of, like you said, you were lucky that you'd already started to pull your PMO out of IT. You were looking at the business as a whole. You flowed work all the way through and had people looking at, how many users you could handle, how many orders you could handle at a time in specific areas, queuing up, things like that. So are there anything else that you've seen that has allowed either communication, people, technologies, anything to kind of come to the forefront that you can share?
It's probably something that's not exactly glamorous, but our partnership with our finance and accounting functions has definitely strengthened in the past. I'd probably say 2 years. I'd say, not that we want to toot our own horn, but we've got a great partnership with both FP&A, or our planning function, and our accounting function today. And it's really because of the data that we've been able to gather and capture through the planning process, through the execution process, so that they have the information that they need to better plan, to better forecast. And really what it comes down to for our organization is we're always focused on how much can we capitalize for the work that we're doing. So it's gone a long way, and the benefits that we're seeing there are pretty amazing. I mean, we're up, just if you look at prior to Clarity, we were up 50% when we implemented Clarity. And then when we connected the portfolio to Rally and Clarity, we're up 2x from where we were then. And it's all yielded better data too. So it's all putting us in a better position with our accounting and planning counterparts.
Yeah, and I would just another example of where the value stream management has also helped us out is I think it's given us the ability to say no a little bit more and to focus on the right things that we need to be working on. When we first kind of started, I just remember when I started at Chipotle and they were like, Ricky, you're the portfolio manager. You're going to help funnel in all the work that's going to be coming in. I was like, great, this is amazing. And everybody came to me and they all had these amazing ideas to get done. And I was like, well, we got to do that. Well, we have to do this. That's a fantastic idea. Let's go do this. the reality was there's no way we were doing all those projects. We were not going to be able to go do that. And so by kind of focusing on the value that was going to come out of it and kind of bringing our teams and aligning them on the work that was going to be done there, we were able to come in and say, hey, is this really a priority for today? Is this a win today opportunity? Is this something, like we like to say, that's going to cultivate the future? Or is this something we kind of just really need to hold off on right now? And I think bringing that strategy, having that strategic alignment and thinking about the true value we were trying to put out by the work we were doing allowed us to be able to say, this is a good idea. Most ideas that end up coming through are, but maybe this isn't the right idea for now based upon the other things that we have that we're working on. And let's go find a way to maybe prioritize that in the future. So I really think having those conversations, bringing everyone together, not just us saying, hey, I myself think this is a great idea. Let's bring this to the team, right? There's a lot of other people who have insight to the things that we're working on, and getting that insight from everyone really allowed us to make sure that we are doing the right things.
That's fantastic. So as you're going through this, were there any gotchas that you can share, any tips and tricks for companies that, you, in some ways it was a benefit to you that you had that urgency and that you'd already set up Chipotle in such a great way to be able to respond to the pandemic when it hit? I mean, you guys kind of did everything right? So are there any tips and tricks with companies? I'm running into a lot of them that didn't have that urgency, right? Whose business models weren't disrupted so much as yours was. What kind of insights can you offer that people should either watch out for as they're implementing value stream management, or know that they're on the right track?
Well, I would say, as far as the gotchas, I would say, honestly, it's not moving fast enough of bringing all the people together, right? You could sit there and say, all right, well, I have to make sure that this is a perfect process that I want to be working on before I go bring in the other teams and say, let's start with thinking in this manner. That is not going to be the right way. It's better to just go get the people together, start the practice, and then go through the repetitions and say, that didn't work, that did work, and go from that matter. I will say, we were trying to go in this direction before. It just, wasn't going as quickly. We were trying to figure out our processes, how do we use these tools right? How do we make sure that this is going to be perfect so that when we roll it out, it's airtight and no one can be like, well, I don't understand this part, I don't understand that. And to be honest, that was not the right approach. We probably slowed us down months just by trying to think in that manner where, again, force function, some good things come out of bad things, is that we were like, nope, sorry, we got to start going and bringing everyone together on these things right now. And we have to start having these conversations. The planning we do needs to be aligned. We need to make sure we're all moving in the same direction. And guess what? That thing we thought was going to work didn't work, and nobody cared. And we just kept moving, and we learned fast, we failed fast, and I think it helped us be more successful. So I would just say, trying to make things perfect sometimes really will slow down your business. Just roll it out and learn on the fly.
Yeah, I'd add to that in saying that the wonderful thing about working for Chipotle is that we have the ability to put things out maybe that aren't perfect and learn from them, just like Ricky said, right? Fail fast and adapt and change. I think often you think that decisions are finite and you can't ever make that change. So you work all the research and the permutations into how this could potentially play out. And you're like, okay, now I got it. Now I'm ready to go. But if you have the mindset and you have the environment in which you can execute and adapt, like we do have at Chipotle, we can put ourselves in a position to be really successful. Now, other environments are going to be very different. It's all very subjective, and that's a bit of the art that comes with that. One other piece that I'd probably highlight that, if you're looking at this and you're in a different environment, the key leader or the key aspect I think that led us to be successful was that we knew we had sponsorship and we knew we had engagement at the leadership level. And without that, a project is destined to fail. A capability build is destined to fail. Anything is destined to fail if you don't have buy-in, and you don't have somebody who's helping you advocate and champion any of those initiatives.
So with things opening back up, how are you guys making sure, and people kind of exhaling, right, for the first time in about a year, how are you guys making sure you're not backsliding back into old bad habits, right? How are you keeping this new stuff that you learned in the forefront so that you can continue to be successful and have this speed? I mean, I'm sure some of your teams did a yeoman's job, right? And did, worked way more hours than you would normally want them to do, but there's still some of that benefit of that speed and that agility and that fluidity within your organization. How are you keeping that and making sure you're not going back to old ways?
Well, I would say that part of it is that we're still in an ever-changing environment, right? And with that ever-changing environment still comes with the urgency. So I think, not to say that's going to keep us from ever slipping back, but I think that it's starting to become embedded in the way that we think about things, right? Is that we're always looking for the next shift or the next change that's going to be coming. So as we go back to the restaurants, there's different impacts, right? There's, again, we have our customers, the way that we reach our customers is going to be different, right? People are coming back in, but also, hey, they've been working, eating at Chipotle for the last, year. They've been doing it digital. How do we still make this fun? How do we still make it exciting? How do we get them back in the restaurant? Because again, that is our best sales method. It is our best margins, everything from that perspective. And part of it is new things we're doing, new menu items we're looking at, new ways to engage with our customers. But then also the other side, from a changing perspective, is the way that, again, our crew, in this environment right now, there's lots of, articles out there about the labor shortages and stuff like that. Part of it is we got to focus now that we have a digital system running in our kitchens. How do we make this easier for them? How do we make it so that they are less impacted by the way that our business functions now? And again, it's just allowing us to think about new things and to still be able to move quickly. And I think that's just going to be part of our new environment now, is like, let's think fast and let's try to go implement. And I just think it's kind of going to be part of our DNA going forward. And as long as we are still being forward thinking and using the tools that we've built and the lessons learned from the pandemic, I think we're going to be successful in trying to kind of move our business forward at the speed that we have in the past.
Yeah, well said, Ricky. So not too much to add to that. The only thing I would add there was just, like you said, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be with us for a while. All the benefits that came with, if you look at it from the standpoint of the things in which how we had to work differently, I think it's going to be with us for a long time. And I think that it's not going to be easy to forget, the things that we learned and how we needed to work better together. So as we start to transition back into the office and start getting back to in-person, collaboration, I think that we're gonna see us come out of this even stronger than we went in, and it's going to be amazing to see the things that come from Chipotle the next few years.
It truly sounds like it. I mean, if you guys were able to build such strong teams and strong flow with everybody in their homes, right, and nobody being able to go into your restaurants, I really look forward to the amazing things you guys are going to be coming up with in the next few years. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you to Ricky Heileman and Mason Ingalls. So appreciate it. You guys' story is one of the most inspiring ones I've run into a long time, and I talk to a lot of companies. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing your value stream management journey with us.
Thank you very much for having us, Lauren. Really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun.